My name is Angela Rose Padula, and I am the Regional Director of the Downtown Los Angeles Back the Buck project. Today, together with my friends Esme, Caden, and Sam, we will be introducing you to one of our very favorite composers, Franz Schubert. We are all students at the Colburn School in Los Angeles. I play cello, Esme Arias Kim plays violin, Caden Lin plays piano, and Samuel Tatsuki plays viola. In this video, we will give you a glimpse into Schubert's life and share excerpts of us playing some of his chamber and solo works. We hope you enjoy.
Schubert was born in 1797 and had a very short life. Despite this, he still managed to write many beautiful works such as Ave Maria, Erlkönig, many chamber music works, and his famous impromptus. Like Beethoven, Schubert was a transitional figure. His earlier works consisted of more classical styles, while his later works were leaning more to the romantic side. One of the works that we're presenting is Schubert's second piano trio in E-flat major, which is one of Schubert's latest works. It represents maturity and an energetic atmosphere in general, but also conveys sadness and longing for something.
Schubert was born in the suburbs of Vienna in 1797. His father, who was a schoolmaster, began giving him violin lessons when he was just 6 years old, and he also received piano lessons from his brother. He would often play on the pianos that were being sold at a pianoforte factory nearby his home. And after about a year or so of doing this, he was noticed by the illustrious Antonio Salieri, who was a composer who also taught many other well-known composers, like Beethoven, Liszt, and even Mozart's son, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart Jr. And he decided to take Schubert in as one of his pupils. Schubert exhibited many talents at a very young age. His teachers were often astonished by his abilities to both play music and also compose it. But in 1813, he began training to be a teacher at the school in which his father worked. This was a time of drudgery in his life. He did not enjoy teaching the young students, and he greatly missed the time he had always spent on his music making and composition. During his time there, though, he did meet a young soprano who was a soloist in the premiere of his first Mass in F major. And Schubert fell deeply in love with her, but unfortunately was not able to marry her, as he could not show that he had the means to support her and their future family. Now, despite this very temperamental time in his life, his work as a composer was flourishing, and just at 18 years old, Schubert managed to write over 140 songs and more than 20,000 bars of music. And one could argue that 1815 was a very pinnacle point in his career.
Schubert had a very short life, only 31 years, but he composed many of his greatest works in the final years. He gained immense public attention in 1821, just 7 years before his death. Almost equivalent to a pop figure today, Schubert was a cosmopolitan composer and had a very large following in Vienna. His popularity led to the development of musical parties among his supporters called Schubertiads, where people would play his music and sometimes even he himself would attend and perform. In a letter to a friend in 1824, when he was in a very unhappy but also musically productive time in his life, he described himself as being the most unfortunate, the most miserable being in the world. During these months of 1824, he wrote 3 of his most famous works: Death and the Maiden Quartet, the A minor Rosamunda Quartet, and his Octet. At the very end of his life, when he wrote works like his 2 piano trios, his Mass in E flat, the Unfinished Symphony, piano sonatas, and finally his C major cello quintet. Schubert's late works express something of the transcendental space between life and death. In this final period of his life, particularly apparent in the C major quintet, there is this constant juxtaposition of the darkness and melancholy of approaching death, and at the same time the lightness of the world to come. After a prolific life of musical expression and creativity, Schubert died in 1828 at the age of 31 from an illness. Although he was mostly just known by his immediate community in Vienna during his life, Schubert's music has been beloved by everyone around the world since his death. He is one of my very favorite composers, and I would find it hard to imagine music without his exquisite works.
Hi, my name is Samuel Tatsuki. I'm 16 and from the Los Angeles downtown region. The piece you're about to hear today is the Arpeggione Sonata by Schubert. It was originally written for Vincenz Schuster, Schubert's arpeggionist virtuoso friend. But by the time it was published, Schubert had passed away and the popularity of the Arpeggione Sonata had died down. But luckily, today it is a piece loved by so many musicians and has been transcribed to even more instruments, such as the cello, the violin, the guitar, the euphonium, the flute, the saxophone, the clarinet, and finally, in my opinion, the best transcription, into the viola. The rich tone of the viola is so fitting for the piece and makes it one of my favorite pieces to play. The clip you're about to hear is a performance which I played on a commissioned viola from instrument maker Brian Lassus, which made it a very special performance for me as well. Although Schubert passed away at the young age of 31, he left the world with countless masterpieces. Here are some of his famous works, which some I will play on the viola. He's famous for his lieders, or songs, which Schubert composed music on top of poetry. A famous one is Ave Maria. Stanchen, which is one of those pieces which you can think of the melody but not the title. So hopefully you recognize this tune. He has amazing chamber music, including the famous Death and the Maiden String Quartet No. 14, his C major cello quintet, and the Trout piano quintet. Out of the hundreds of pieces Schubert wrote, here are some of my favorites. The Second Piano Trio, the Grand Duo Violin Sonata, especially the recording with Augustin Dumay, and his 15th String Quartet in G major, which has unique harmonic languages which can only be seen in late Schubert.